Hi, I'm Damien Brockway. I'm the pitmaster and owner of Distant Relatives in Austin, Texas. We're located at Meanwhile Brewing Company in the southeast side of town. So what we do here, this is our service trailer. We're just a small little shack. You've seen a little bit of the pit out the back. So we specialize in what we call modern African American barbecue. So what does that mean? We have influences of soul, so like riffs on soul dishes like pickled green tomatoes, black-eyed peas with barbecue ends. You have your Texas Trinity on here, but you're gonna find like subtle nuances of different, spices and varying like heat levels and stuff like that. So that's what we do here at our shop. So we saw the service trailer. So now let's take a look at our mill scale pit, which is where we, make all of our meat and sauces and, all that good stuff. Now we're in the behind the scenes area. All right, so this is our pit trailer back here. So we're using our mill scale pit out of Lockhart, Texas here. We love these guys. They make awesome equipment. Couldn't do what we do without them. So out here, firebox on the exterior. So we have our like cage here. You see the walls kind of coming up. So what this does is when we get like lateral wind, it doesn't strip too much of the heat off of the belly. So it keeps like good temperature control. All right. So this is where all of our barbecue production happens. And one of the great things about this offset is that we actually have like a hearth or like a ledge up here for where that transition out of the firebox is. And so we love to use that to do things like roast our peanuts, for instance, which we call like smoke roasted peanuts. We do that right up here because that temperature is really good to get stuff like nice and golden brown. We'll also do other vegetable preparations up here, up in the front, like sweet potatoes and like butternut squash and things like that. Things that could, really benefit from smoke as well as like a roasting type temperature. We'll usually run like bones here. So, one of our things is we try and like fully utilize all of our stuff. So like, you have like full spare ribs coming. We take that chine off. We like to season them kind of like ham hocks, right? And then we'll like smoke roast those up in the front, chicken bones and stuff like that to make broths to cook our peas, greens, and things of that nature. This area right here, generally we're going to be doing poultry, so stuff that could use a little bit quicker, higher temp cooking temperature. So that's generally, what gets done right in here. And so when you were seeing like the brisket wrapping section, you see that we actually have top racks starting at the second door going all the way down. And so we like to cook our ribs up top because there again, it's like a thinner cut of meat that can benefit from like a little quicker time in there. That way it doesn't dry out, and a little bit higher temperature. So we have those upper racks specifically just for spare ribs. So we can fit, up to 12 racks at a time. There again, like this area, we'll do like, full like French like pork racks and poultry and things of that nature right here, because like the heat gradient, as we know, is like, kind of going up on a curve here. And then in the back, this is where we have like all of our long cook stuff, like you saw. So like pork shoulders and briskets and like beef shoulder when we do chucks and stuff like that will be back here. And then all the way in the back, in the morning, like soon as we get in, we do like a stepped smoke on our sausages. So like, what does that mean? So we actually like come in the pits at that kind of like ambient temperature with the coal bed. We'll get our wood on there, and so we have like a very low, almost like cold smoke that we're able to get on our sausages, which is really nice. Forms that pellicle on there, starts to denature the casing, and then as the temperature comes up for like, the stuff that we're cooking during the day, like riding that 225, 250, back here, we like stepped up like through that temperature range of like 100 all the way up to that 225, and then we have sausages that have like that really beautiful snap on the casing, and then also like a good amount of smoke. So that's how we approach this guy. And then you guys know, so our damper situation over here, that really comes into play when we're dealing with like high winds or like rain or, different kind of weather elements. And so, playing with that kind of stuff, like colder temperatures, when we have to like rotate, some of the meat forward, we'll like back that damper down to kind of like trap a little more of the heat forward in the pit. So that's what we got going on there. Our wrapping table in the back, we are a paper shop, so by that I mean, ribs we do in paper. We don't use foil. We really like that because it's, semi-permeable, right? So we can still get some smoke going in, but it's trapping a lot of moisture. So it's, to us, our thought process, it's kind of the best of both worlds, right? We're still getting a little bit of wood, but we're also getting that like moisture retention. So ribs in paper, brisket in paper. We do use spray, right? So for our pork, this is our house pork vinegar. So this is, not apple cider vinegar, which is lovely. What we actually do is we take distilled vinegar and then we infuse it with a ton of like herbs and spices and chilies. And that's our AP pork vinegar. So, whenever we have like pork shoulders, butts, pork spare ribs, pork French tomahawk racks, stuff like that, we're going to be using this guy. And then on this side we have our beef spray, Worcestershire and vinegar, pretty classic on that.
There they are.
Sorry. Like everything on the tray.
Yeah.
Bum, 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 bum.
Thank you so much.
People who've been with us have been here for a while.
All right, thanks guys. There again, distant relatives in Austin, Texas, located at Meanwhile Brewing Company. Thanks for coming along and seeing what we do. You can find us on Instagram at distantrelativesaTX.com, and we hope to see you over here at the brewery. Get you some of these delicious meat treats and some wonderful vegetables too. All right, thanks.